Welcome to Twisted Truths, where betrayal meets brutal payback, and where the most unexpected twists expose what people are really capable of. This story isn't just shocking, it's personal. My name is Roger Mercer. I'm 44 years old, and for the last 20 years, I've built my life as a private wealth strategist in Austin, Texas. Ironically, I'm the guy people hire to protect their fortunes from thieves, whether those thieves are hackers, shady business partners, or spouses. I'd never thought I'd need to use those services on myself. Until that Friday afternoon, when my phone buzzed during a client debrief. A photo message lit up the screen. My wife, Dana, in a bubbling hot tub, arm in arm with some young guy. Probably mid-20s, smug grin on his face. He had that Instagram fitness guru look, chiseled abs, 1,000-watt smile, expensive sunglasses. My heart dropped before my brain even registered the second message. I've moved all your money to his account. Thanks for funding my new life. I stared at the screen, stunned. The words were surgical. Cold. I'd known things between us had been strained. She'd been distant for months. I thought it was burnout. Hormonal imbalance. Even depression. I was wrong. She hadn't gone to a spa with college friends. She'd gone to betray me. But here's the part she didn't understand. Dana married me thinking I was just some suit who played with spreadsheets. She didn't know what I actually did. She didn't know I'd spent 2 decades outwitting international financial predators. I didn't just help clients move money, I built entire systems to keep it safe from the kinds of people she just jumped into a hot tub with. I opened the laptop on my desk. My fingers moved fast, muscle memory. 2-factor authentication. Internal tracking dashboard. Alert logs. And there it was. A flagged transaction, $2.9 million. Dana had tried to move every last penny from our joint accounts, including the trusts I'd created for her security, into a flagged account in the Cayman Islands. An account recently linked to a man under quiet investigation by several agencies. She just handed everything over, to a con artist. And she had no idea the transfer was never going to clear. Because 2 years ago, I installed deep monitoring systems on all our shared accounts. Protocols that froze high-risk activity. Because that's what I do for a living. Dana's betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was attempted theft. She thought I'd be too hurt to fight back. She thought I'd panic. Maybe even beg. But Dana made one mistake. She underestimated me. When I got home that night, the house felt like a stranger had lived there. Dana's perfume still clung to the hallway. The wine glasses we used the night before were still in the sink, one lipstick stained, the other half full. I stood in the kitchen staring at the countertop, the same marble island we'd picked out together, the same one where we celebrated her 35th birthday just 4 months ago. I couldn't believe how convincing she'd been. The tearful nights. The work stress that made her pull away. The long silences that I thought were personal battles she didn't know how to share. No. It wasn't stress. It wasn't depression. It was preparation. She'd been setting me up for this moment. A week ago, she asked me a seemingly innocent question: what happens to our accounts if one of us goes abroad for a while? I thought it was curiosity. A hypothetical. I even told her about the fraud alerts, the fail-safes, the layers of security I'd programmed for high-risk transfers. She laughed. Roger, you're paranoid. I thought she was teasing me. Now I knew she was testing the system. I collapsed into the leather armchair in my office, the one Dana used to call my throne. My laptop was still open. The fraudulent transaction was sitting there, pending but blocked. The offshore account tied to her so-called spa boyfriend was already frozen by international compliance systems. I should have felt victorious. I didn't. I felt hollow. My wife had just tried to erase me. Not divorce me. Not leave and fight for half. But vaporize me. Take it all. Vanish. She didn't just want freedom, she wanted my financial corpse to prove she'd won. I poured a glass of bourbon, my hand shaking slightly. The ice clinked like a metronome counting down the death of my marriage. The phone buzzed again. Another text from Dana. You're probably freaking out. Don't bother calling. I'm done pretending to love a man who always put money before me. I read it 3 times. My heart clenched. Not because of the words, but because somewhere deep down, I feared she might have believed them. Maybe I had been absent. Maybe I had buried myself in client portfolios and billion-dollar deals, thinking that building a fortress of security was the same as love. But none of that excused what she'd done. She hadn't spoken to me. She'd plotted against me. I sat in that chair for hours, barely blinking, watching the sun vanish behind the blinds and the night fall heavy over the house we used to call home. That's when the rage began to replace the sadness. Not the kind of rage that makes you punch walls. The kind that makes you start planning. By Saturday morning, I wasn't Roger the betrayed husband anymore. I was Roger the strategist. I knew better than to go to war with emotion. This had to be methodical. Ruthless. Precise. I started digging. The offshore account Dana had tried to send the money to was listed under a shell company, Crimson Synergy Holdings Limited. Cayman-based. Registered 3 months ago. Typical laundering front. I traced the account's origination and got a hit on a financial crime database I helped build years ago during a corporate fraud case. Dana's boyfriend, his real name wasn't listed. But the account was tied to a flagged identity connected to a larger scheme, a ring of con artists who seduced wealthy or connected spouses, then convinced them to move assets offshore, and disappear. These weren't amateurs. These were professionals. And Dana was just one of many. She thought she had met some young, spontaneous entrepreneur who offered her freedom and real love. What she actually met was a predator named Tyler Grant. Age 34. Real name, Tyler Vincent Brennan. 6 aliases. 4 federal cases pending. Multiple warrants sealed under Financial Secrecy Acts. His profile matched with a high-level alert issued through the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, a man embedded in a romance fraud ring based out of Miami, known to work with an elusive handler named Vincent Torres, someone I'd heard whispers about for years but had never seen up close. Dana wasn't just cheating. She was being groomed. The boyfriend she thought was rescuing her from our cold marriage was using her to steal nearly $3 million. If I hadn't had protections in place, she would have lost everything, for both of us. And then he would have ghosted her. Probably by Monday. I stared at my screen, jaw clenched. Dana had made a horrific mistake. But now I had proof, digital fingerprints, timeline, IP addresses. And something else. A folder. 2 months ago, Dana had downloaded a secured document off my home server. I'd only noticed because I log every IP access for security audits. She'd copied a file I kept labeled Estate Planning and Client Trusts. It looked boring. It wasn't. It included emergency liquidation protocols for my wealthiest clients. Backup account info. Cold wallets. Contingency planning. Dana had literally handed Tyler a potential blueprint to ruin men 10 times wealthier than me. It wasn't just about me anymore. If Tyler had shared that data with the broader network, people could be hurt, real people. Families. Children. This wasn't just a betrayal. This was a national-level security breach. That night, I called someone I hadn't spoken to in 3 years, Sarah Winters, senior agent at the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. Roger Mercer, she said, sounding tired. Please tell me this isn't about you this time. I'm afraid it is. When I explained everything, Dana's access, the transfer attempt, the shell company, Tyler's identity, she stopped me cold. Did you say Crimson Synergy? Yes. Jesus, Roger. You just stepped on the tail of a 3-year undercover investigation. Her voice shifted. I'm looping you in. You'll be hearing from us within 24 hours. Don't alert your wife. Don't try to confront the boyfriend. Just, sit tight. I hung up, stunned. What started as a personal betrayal had just opened a door into something much bigger. And now I wasn't just planning revenge. I was part of an operation. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. My mind was on fire, turning over everything Dana had said, everything she'd done. I knew I had the upper hand now, but that wasn't enough. I didn't just want to freeze the money. I wanted her to understand what she'd almost destroyed, and I wanted Tyler to choke on the rope he wrapped around her neck. By dawn, I had 3 plans running in parallel. Plan A, lockdown. I called every bank, every partner, every platform I had accounts with. I revoked Dana's access, completely. I used back-end code to auto-trigger asset reallocation protocols I'd written years ago. By 8:17 a.m., she was locked out of every single dollar. Plan B, exposure. I compiled a digital folder titled Dana McAllister, Full Audit. It included screenshots of every transaction she'd attempted, IP logs, timestamps, the copy of her confession text, "Thanks for funding my new life." I also added a photo from her Instagram, her wrapped in a towel at Sea Breeze Spa, except the geotag showed she wasn't in California like she'd told me. She was in Nassau, where Tyler had a known residence. Plan C, watch and wait. At 11:42 a.m., I got a ping. Dana had tried again. Another $5,000 test transfer to a different account, this one in Belize. The fool was still trying to claw money out of the system. What she didn't realize is I'd already flagged her device. Every time she logged into anything tied to our shared infrastructure, it sent me a snapshot, location, device ID, network type, and keystrokes. She was texting Tyler. She was also texting someone named Real Lipstick Nail Polish, a mutual friend I never trusted. I pulled Dana's message back up from iCloud, because of course I had access, and read them both. He still doesn't know the money's gone. I'll stall him until it clears. After that, we're out. And another. If anything goes wrong, I'll say he was hiding money. Emotional abuse. Financial coercion. No jury sides with a rich white guy in 2025. My hands went ice cold. She wasn't just trying to rob me. She was preparing to frame me for it. And she had a playbook. Lies about abuse. Lies about hidden accounts. She'd Googled court precedents and was planning to position herself as the victim. That's when the final piece of my revenge plan clicked into place. If Dana wanted to paint me as the villain, she needed to be exposed as the real one, in her own words. So I set a trap. Using a separate encrypted device, I messaged her posing as Tyler. I mimicked his writing style, his emojis, even the slang from her texts. "Babe, use the joint account app again. Resend the wire." Something glitched. She responded instantly. "On it. Hold on, babe. He's probably at work. I can get in and approve the transfer from the laptop in the study." I watched it unfold in real time. She logged in. She bypassed the second-factor security, because I let her this time. She submitted the transfer. $2.7 million. But instead of a Cayman account, it rerouted to a controlled federal Sting account. The system was being actively monitored by Sarah Winters and the Financial Crimes Task Force. The second she clicked confirm, the net closed. My phone rang an hour later. "Roger," Agent Winters said, "she's going to Nassau County Jail. Wire fraud. Conspiracy. International money laundering." I exhaled. Slowly. Finally. Then I whispered, "Good." I grilled chicken on the back patio that night. The sky above Austin was bruised purple and orange, like the universe itself was sighing with tension. I wasn't even hungry. I just needed normal. But normal was gone. My phone buzzed, and I recognized the number right away. Nassau County Sheriff's Office. Mr. Mercer, the voice on the other end said. This is Detective Ramirez. We've just taken your wife, Dana Mercer, into custody. She was with a man named Tyler Brennan. Do you know him? I kept my voice calm. Yes. I believe he's been manipulating her. He's part of a financial scam ring under federal investigation. There was a pause. Then, she asked us to call you. She's requesting you post bail. I looked out at the mountains in the distance, the same hills Dana once told me looked like protection. She's not my responsibility anymore, detective. Let her new boyfriend bail her out. He didn't argue. He didn't have to. Because Tyler had vanished. Gone before the handcuffs could close. Left Dana holding the bag, alone, cuffed, confused, and facing federal charges. The next morning, the story broke. Local news ran the headline. Austin woman arrested in multi-million-dollar financial crime linked to national romance fraud network. And there it was, Dana's mugshot. Hair matted. Makeup smeared. Eyes red. But more than that, eyes wide. Shocked. Betrayed. Broken. Just like I had been. Karma wasn't poetic. It was clinical. And it was only just starting. Over the next 72 hours, Dana tried everything. Angry texts. Tearful voicemails. Half-truths sent from the detention center's computer system. Roger, please. This is all a mistake. I didn't know what he was doing. He told me you were hiding money. He said I deserved better. He said you were going to divorce me and leave me with nothing. Please just talk to me. I love you. I messed up. I was scared. She even tried the pity card. I'm going to prison, Roger. I need someone to help me understand what's happening. You of all people. I trusted you once. It took everything in me not to respond. But I didn't. Because I had already submitted everything, her texts, screenshots, IP logs, and call records, to Agent Winters and the federal prosecution team. Her trial wasn't just going to be about what she did. It was going to be about what she planned. And the court needed to see the whole map. Sarah Winters called again. Roger, she's in deep. But here's the thing, if she testifies, if she gives us everything on Tyler and the network behind him, we can offer her a reduced sentence. I didn't say anything at first. Then I asked, does she know Tyler used her like all the others? She's starting to realize. Slowly. But she's in denial. She still thinks she meant something to him. That's the tragedy, isn't it? Dana burned her life down, for a fantasy built on lies. The irony? The only reason she wasn't in deeper trouble was because I had protected her, from herself. The money never actually left our holdings. It had been rerouted into a law enforcement controlled dummy account. If I hadn't set those protocols, she'd be in prison for a decade. But now. She had a choice. Help the FBI. Or be buried by the full weight of federal prosecution. Tuesday morning, I was called into the federal building downtown. Agent Sarah Winters wanted me present for Dana's official debriefing. She said my insight into financial systems might help clarify timelines and tactics. I knew what she really meant, Dana might talk more if I was in the room. When they brought her in, I barely recognized her. Gone was the polished, composed woman I once called my wife. Her hair was limp. Her face drawn. Her wrists still bore faint red marks from the cuffs. But her eyes, the guilt was finally settling in behind them. When she saw me, she stopped in the doorway, mouth slightly open. Roger, she whispered. I nodded, but said nothing. We sat across from each other at a steel table under flickering fluorescent lights while Agent Winters began recording. Dana, you need to start from the beginning. Every detail about Tyler Brennan, when you met, what he told you, how he convinced you to initiate the transfer. She swallowed hard. It was at a yoga class in Scottsdale. He asked if I knew a good smoothie place nearby. He seemed nice. Genuine. Said he just moved here from California. I sat in silence as Dana described the entire con, how Tyler played the long game, how he mirrored her insecurities, how he made her feel seen in a way I never had. He told her she was wasted in a boring marriage. Said I was probably hiding money. Told her most men in my field do. He didn't come at her like a thief. He came like a savior. And she bought it. Then came the twist. Agent Winters laid a folder flat on the table. Inside were identical photos to the ones Dana had sent me from the spa. Except in those photos, Tyler was with other women. Same hot tub. Same arm around the waist. Different faces. Dana, Sarah said gently, Tyler Brennan has run this exact scam on more than a dozen women in the last 3 years. We believe he works for a man named Vincent Torres, head of a sophisticated network that targets the spouses of wealthy professionals. Dana sat frozen. Her fingers trembled. No, he told me I was the only one. I leaned forward for the first time. He said that to all of them. You weren't special to him. You were selected. Silence. Then, Dana crumbled. Not loudly. No sobs. Just a collapse. A folding inward, like a paper swan finally dunked in water. Agent Winters gave her a moment. Then asked, will you testify? Dana looked up at me with hollow eyes. I don't have anyone else left, do I? You have the truth, I said. And you owe it to every woman he's ruined. And just like that, the power shifted. Dana went from conspirator to whistleblower. From traitor to reluctant ally. And her cooperation. It broke the entire operation wide open. She gave names. Locations. Passwords. The encrypted burner phone Tyler had gifted her. She even remembered the false company names, shell corporations tied to Torres himself. By the end of that week, 5 arrests were made across 3 states. Vincent Torres was captured in Miami. His laptop contained evidence of 17 women defrauded, $12 million stolen in 3 years. Dana's testimony was the key. She had helped take down the very system that had used her. But nothing could undo what she had done to me. She asked to see me privately before sentencing. I agreed. In a small holding room behind the courtroom, she looked at me, almost afraid to speak. I don't expect forgiveness, she said. But I need you to know. I didn't do this because I hated you. I did it because I didn't know who I was anymore. You made your choice, I said. And now you live with it. She nodded, lips trembling. They offered me 14 months if I cooperate fully. I hope you use it to find the version of yourself that doesn't need to lie. I think I already have. She reached out like she wanted to touch my hand, but didn't. And just like that, she was led away. 6 months later, I sat in a federal courtroom in Miami, watching the man who shattered so many lives finally face judgment. Tyler Brennan, real name confirmed, aliases logged, stood in an orange jumpsuit beside his court-appointed attorney. His arrogance had vanished. No smirk. No swagger. Just silence. The jury had found him guilty on 12 counts, wire fraud, identity theft, conspiracy, racketeering, and intentional financial exploitation. Dana's testimony had been brutal, and honest. She described how Tyler made her feel special, isolated her from truth, weaponized her insecurities. She didn't hold back. And because of her, 3 other women had come forward, wives of bankers, consultants, even a senator's daughter. Each story was chillingly similar. Same script. Same strategy. Same fake love. Judge Ramirez spoke clearly and without sympathy. You did not just commit financial crimes, Mr. Brennan. You committed emotional terrorism. You hollowed out lives to fund your illusions. And now, the law will hollow out yours. Sentence, 15 years federal prison. No parole. The room didn't erupt. No gasps. No cheers. Just the long, steady exhale of closure. Tyler was escorted out in chains. 1 week later, Dana stood before the court again, this time for her own sentencing. She wore a simple gray suit. No makeup. No pretense. Just the woman who'd survived being used, and exposed the predator behind it all. The prosecutor acknowledged her cooperation. So did the judge. But consequences still had to come. Sentence, 14 months federal prison. 2 years probation. Restitution waived due to full recovery of funds. I watched from the gallery. She glanced at me once, but didn't smile. She understood. We were no longer husband and wife. We were caution and consequence. She began her sentence the following month. 2 years passed. I rebuilt my life. Quietly. Steadily. I poured everything back into my practice at Mercer Holdings, but something had changed. I no longer measured wealth in dollar signs. I measured it in trust. One Thursday afternoon, my assistant knocked on the door. Roger, someone's here to see you. Says she's an old client. I almost said no. Then she walked in. Dana. She looked different. Healthier. Softer. Stronger. Hi, she said gently. Hello, Dana. I just wanted to say thank you. For what? For not destroying me when you had the chance. I didn't speak. I work with the FBI now, she continued. Financial crime prevention. I give talks to women's groups. I teach them how to spot fraud, how to protect themselves, not just from scammers like Tyler, but from themselves. I nodded slowly. That's a better use of your pain than denial ever was. She smiled faintly. I'm getting married next month, she added. Someone I met in therapy. He knows everything. No lies. I'm glad for you, I said. Goodbye, Roger. She left. Quietly. With dignity. That was the last time I saw her. And I didn't need to see her again. Because in the end, this wasn't a story about revenge. It was about clarity. About what people do when they're lost. And what they become, when they finally face themselves. In the end, truth has a way of surfacing, even if it comes twisted through pain and betrayal. As one wise voice once said, sometimes your greatest enemy was once your closest ally. If this story struck a chord with you, let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, share, and spread the word, because justice deserves to be heard.